Hi, and thanks for watching another instructional video for CSCI 1300. In this video, we will cover alternative numeric data types to the integer and the double, as well as how to use set precision with dealing with floating point values when displaying information back to the user in the terminal. C++ has two floating point types, that is, a double and a float. Many years ago, when computers had far less memory than they have today, float was the standard type for floating point computation, and programmers would indulge in the luxury of double precision only when they needed the additional digits. Today, the float type is rarely used, but it can be nice when you're dealing with monetary values that only go to 2 decimal places if you're looking to save memory. In addition to the int type, C++ has integer types short, long, and long. For each integer type, there is an unsigned equivalent. For example, the short type typically has a range from negative 32,768 all the way up to a positive 32,767. And the unsigned short ranges from 0 to 65,535. These strange-looking limits are the result of the use of binary numbers in computers. A short value uses 16 binary digits, which can encode 2 to the 16th, which is equal to 65,536 values. Keep in mind that the ranges for integer types are not standardized, and they differ among compilers. We're now going to move into using set precision with floating point values. This is very useful when outputting some kind of number that has a large number of decimals back to the user, and you want to only print a certain number of those decimals out to the output, out to the screen. So in order to use set precision, I'll briefly go over it here and then jump into VS Code and show you how it works. You'll need to include the I/O manipulation library, the input-output manipulation library, and this will allow us to call set precision. Set precision is a function which takes in some integer value, and that integer value represents the number of digits that we're going to print after the decimal back to the user in the terminal. So if I jump into VS Code, the first thing that I want to do is I want to include I/O manip in my include statements at the top of my program, and then I will have some number. Say we have a number that has got a very long 1/3 value, 0.33333. So we have this number, but we only want to print the first 2 decimals back to the user. Well, normally we would just print something like this, where we print the contents of the variable to the user on the screen. And if I compile the program here, we should get the full information in num stored in there, all the decimal places. Now if I want to shorten num, I can do so by adding in the following before any numbers or variables in my output line. So the first thing I'm going to add is fixed in front of whatever I'm printing. So I'm saying cout operators fixed. Then I'm calling set precision, which is a function call, so it will take parentheses. And we are going to pass it some whole number value. So it has to be an integer. In this case, I'm going to pass it 2 because I want it to print 2 decimal places. I'll leave a note here that says this will print only 2 decimal places. So now that we have fixed operator set precision with the number of digits we want printed before our variable in our output line, if we recompile, you can see here that we have shortened the information on the screen down to 2 decimal places, which is really useful when printing information back to the user of a program. That's all for now. Thanks and happy coding.